Gauteng Department of Economic Development is pleading with the South African Reserve Bank to prevent liquidation of the DRIP Group. MEC Lebogang Maile says that they have written to the governor of the SARB Lesetja Kganyago to request a rehabilitative intervention for the DRIP Group that is currently facing challenges of non-compliance with domestic tax laws. So perhaps for more on the story, let's bring in Gauteng MEC for Economic Development Lebogang Maile. Good morning, MEC. Thanks for your time on the SABC at this hour.
Morning, and thanks for having us this morning, and we also greet the viewers at home.
MEC, on that note, perhaps for context's sake, and also just given the timelines unfolded, you could speak to how the DRIP Group ended up in this space. They're obviously now currently facing the challenges of non-compliance with domestic tax laws.
Well, we are addressing a specific issue here, and it's related to the exchange control regulations. There's a transaction they have made, I think, 2 years ago, and there's money that is supposed to come into their coffers, but unfortunately, that money, which is in the region of millions, few millions, is sitting at the South African Reserve Bank because they did not comply with certain provisions of the Exchange Regulations Act. So we are dealing with that specific issue. They have brought it to our attention, and they said to us they had sourced the services of a third party who has actually misled them and who did not comply. What is important is that they are admitting that there was no compliance on their part because they were misled by the third party, and they are prepared to cooperate with the South African Reserve Bank to comply, because if they don't, they understand that they will lose that money, and that money it's needed for them to be able to keep afloat and save their business.
Okay, so given that context and that specific issue in terms of exchange control compliance and obviously the view that they've been misled by that third party, from your perspective, why they need to push for DRIP not to be liquidated? You're advocating for the law to be rehabilitative, just to making allowances for small business owners at large.
Yes, certainly, because unfortunately they did not understand what is required in terms of the exchange regulations, and hence they sourced the services of the third party. But we are well aware that not knowing the law is not an excuse to break the law.
Yeah.
And it is for that reason that we are pleading that the South African Reserve Bank should look at how they can help them where possible. And of course, it must be within the ambit of the law. We're not saying that the law must be changed for them. It will not be right. If it's still within the law and they can be helped, they can be rehabilitated, because they are still going to make a lot of transactions going forward. We would like them not to repeat the same mistake when they do more transactions going forward. And that's the whole point of making sure that the matter does not repeat itself.
Because I know it's been a conversation starter on social media and society at large, people questioning, the rescuing of DRIP or the rehabilitation of DRIP versus other SMMEs and the assistance provided to them as well. You've also cited the Township Economic Development Act, the TEDA at large. Perhaps motivate on your end some of those concerns in relation to that, given what's the sentiments echoed.
Yeah, firstly, we're not giving DRIP any money, or we're not asking for the Reserve Bank to give DRIP any money. That's the first important thing. But DRIP has its own money, which they have made through a transaction that took place 2 years ago. Unfortunately, they can't access that money because in receiving that money, there's certain laws and regulations they were supposed to adhere to, and they did not. And hence, they had sourced the intermediary to help them, and the intermediary did not do justice. And the South African the South African Reserve Bank, rightfully so, has kept the money because certain regulations have not been adhered to. So we are asking that that money which belongs to DRIP should be released to them, but the law has to be taken into consideration. If the South African Reserve Bank says it's not possible for whatever reason, it's fine. That's one. But two, we would like the South African Reserve Bank to then help DRIP and any other party, a small business that is trading in foreign currencies, so that they understand what is required of them. And that's the real point that we're raising here. The township economy issue comes as a result of DRIP being having been founded in Ivory Park, which is a township. And we were encouraged by the fact that we have a company that has been founded in the township, and it has managed to transition and participate in the mainstream economy. And they've been 5 years now in existence. And we are saying 5 years after hard work, we think that if there's something that can be done to make sure that we propel them to the next 5 years and possibly many more years, let's help them. They have committed a mistake and they are admitting, and they've said they've been able to regroup and look at whatever that is required by South African Reserve Bank. So we are not saying Reserve Bank must treat them special. Okay. We're not saying that they must break the laws for them. We're not saying they must give them the money. And some people might be understanding us as saying that we are going to give DRIP money. No, there's no money that's going to be given to DRIP. DRIP has its own money, but they can't access the money because the money came through. However, there are exchange regulations that are supposed to be adhered to, and because they've not been adhered to, they are not able to get their money. That's the whole point.
Let me just come in there. I have to wrap up. But at large, this serving as a case study, lessons learned going forward for other SMMEs as well. Business and tax education. Perhaps also just the impact along the value chain at large, given that the existence, extends to 5 years. Talk to us about that. And also just some of the rehabilitation interventions on the cards, if at all, as we wrap up.
Yeah, well, they have had, I think, they have done transactions before of this magnitude, but they've been using third parties. And I think we would implore small, medium enterprises that as much as they use third parties who in most cases are experts in this subject matters, they must also take keen interest as the owners of the companies to understand at least the basics and what is required. And this will go a long way in alleviating some of these challenges. So we will also take keen interest as a provincial government in making sure that we work with the Reserve Bank, we work with SARS, and we work with other agencies to help small companies, especially those from the townships, to understand these regulations and these laws. Because, as I've said, not knowing or understanding the law, it's not an excuse to break the law.
All right, MEC Lebogang Maile, let's leave that conversation there. Thank you for your time at this hour. Gauteng MEC for Economic Development Lebogang Maile weighing in. We know that Gauteng Department has pleaded with the South African Reserve Bank to prevent a liquidation of the DRIP group. We're obviously just assessing the motivations and really some of the lessons learned through what's come to the fore in this case study.